Welcome to Fun is Fundamental. Fun is Fundamental is a podcast for those who realize that the enjoyment of life is about having something deep in our souls which lights our fire. It's for those who maybe have lost that fire and feel like they are missing out on the pleasures of life. In each episode, I will share recent fun activities and focus on why having fun is essential for good health. I'm your host, Alenia, and I invite you to take this journey with me and join the pleasure-seeking movement. Hi, welcome to a new episode of Fun is Fundamental. And like I promised a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to talk about, for the next few solo episodes, they'll be about some things that we did on our buddy moon in the Cabo area. So today I'm going to talk about the sunset cruise that we did. And I know that I have already kind of talked about a boat. I had the hot tub boat episode, so I hope this doesn't seem kind of redundant. And maybe it doesn't seem like super special because a lot of places have, sunset cruises and stuff. But water is one of my happy places. And so for me, it's just always a good time if I'm near water. So generally, I'm just going to talk about those times when I'm near water because it just makes me feel so good. So sorry if this is just not that interesting to you. So yeah, hopefully it's not too redundant because I know it's not as novel as, like a hot tub boat. Anyway, we rented it on Halloween. This was down in Cabo San Lucas. So we had to drive down there from our beach house. So it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours about to get down there, which isn't ideal, but this is where most of the cruises are. And Cabo San Lucas has some really cool rock formations off of their coast, their southern coast. So it's a very popular area for these sunset cruises, and it's basically like where the Sea of Cortez meets the Pacific Ocean. So that's the cool thing about it also. So we rented it from a place called Cabo Sailing. It was called La Gringa. It had 4 crew members, the captain. There were a couple of people that bartended for us because it was an open bar, and then there was a photographer. So it starts off, at the marina down there, and you see like Lover's Beach, and there's just like some really cool rock formations. I can't remember all of them, but there's like one that's like kind of you have like this hole like between the rocks, kind of thing, and yeah, it's just cool. And then there's sea lions out there and some other animals out there. Some things that happened while we were out there. So like the photographer was like taking photos, and they're like super like posy kind of photos where like it's like, oh, couple photo, and like, kiss in front of the sunset and like things like that. And Casey and I are not really into PDA, so it was like really awkward. I guess it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know why we just say no maybe, but you're just like, okay, sure. But, because it's like, it's just like some of our closest friends, because, there was 8 of our friends went with us, so it's not like PDA in front of a bunch of strangers or anything like that. It kind of reminds me of when we had our wedding reception and, like people are like, oh, kiss, kind of thing. And we're just like, so awkward, and I think that's even more awkward because it's like in front of your family. But, I don't know. It's just, we're just not really into PDA. We hold hands, we hug, things like that in front of people, but like we don't usually kiss in front of other people and stuff like that. So yeah, we had an open bar. They did sashimi with fresh fish, and the captain was like using this knife a sharp knife to like fillet this fish. this fresh fish on the boat as it was rocking, and I was just like, oh my God, that's like so scary. But clearly, obviously, like he's really used to it, but it's still just like, oh my God, like, just hope nothing bad happens kind of thing. Yeah, like one of the guys who was like one of the bartenders, he was steering the boat at the point when the captain was using this sharp knife to, you know, cut this fish up, which like took a while because I think like maybe when it was like the most rocking, he wasn't doing it or something. I don't know, but it took a while for him to like cut up all this fish. It was like into really small pieces. It was really good sashimi. And then like there was like chips and salsa and guacamole, and then there were quesadillas. We didn't actually eat, like the food wasn't served until after dark when we got to back, like you go out and it's like you're out on the sea and it's really rocky, but then you come back and it's like calm. So we didn't do that until like the last hour when it was calm. It it was I was pretty sure it was supposed to be a 2-hour boat ride, but it was actually 3, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure it says 2 on like the website. So I was like very pleasantly surprised because I thought we were like really heading back, and like I had stopped drinking and things like that. But then it was like, oh, we actually have another hour. Awesome. There was like this area out the back where you can like lay out there, but you have to take off your shoes and stuff. But it's like a net kind of thing. One of our friends, he accidentally kicked one of his flip-flops into the water, and it was so funny because like the crew was all like, "Oh, let's stop! We have to find his shoe!" And like they're like looking around, and we're just like, I don't think you're gonna find the shoe. Like it's like, thank you for the effort, but I think the shoe's just gone. Um, because this is like this is quite open water. It's choppy. Like it, it's gone. So, but it was funny that like they were really trying to find a shoe at first. So we're just like, it's okay. You don't need to do this. This seems like a waste of time kind of thing. And then like it was so nice though, like one of the crew members, he had an extra pair of flip-flops like in his bag or something like that, and he actually gave them to our friend. And I was just like, oh my God, these people are so sweet. It was just such a great experience. They were so nice and everything. Anyway, obviously the sunsets are always beautiful and magical and so delightful. So and with, seeing it with like these beautiful rock formations and you're out on the water, it's like just so much, it's just so lovely and so beautiful. And I couldn't ask for something nicer. And then when we're like back when it's like very gentle rocking, when we're out, like just kind of closer to the shore and closer to like the marina and stuff like that. And we're just like looking out at the the city lights, and it was really quite magical and ethereal, and it's just, I was like feeling like super calm but also energized and like clear-headed. It was really delightful to like just sit there like quietly and just look out at the beautiful city in front of me, and see it like reflecting on the water and everything. Yeah, if I could just spend every day on a boat, pretty much, I would be a very happy person. If I could buy a boat and like afford to have a slip for my boat, I would just be so happy to go out there all the time. But you know, that's the bougie life that I can't afford and stuff. We have a friend who likes to use his negotiation skills. He likes to, convince people, like get people to do things that he wants. Anyway, he was like, "Oh, I want to steer the boat." And so he talked to them, and they did let him steer the boat for a little while. And there's like they gave him the captain's hat at one point. So yeah, so that was fun. When we first started, they were playing their own music, and it was like, I don't know, bad dance music, basically. So then we started playing our own music, and I was playing 80. I was asked to play 80s music by someone, I don't remember. Uh, and some of it like fit and some of it didn't. I definitely have some songs that most people don't really know, probably. So anyway, I'm sure some of it didn't fit. At one point, we started playing like sea shanties kind of thing, and we played the Decemberists, the Mariner's Revenge. It was very fitting, but the crew probably thought we were very strange because of the music they were playing, because it was no longer like popular type music. But it's very fitting, and it was fun. I mean, it was very fun to like sing the Mariner's Revenge on a boat. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of laughs. When you're in good company, everything is great, right? So I just obviously feel very lucky to have friends like I do. But anyway, it really was, I talked to my friends and everything, and we definitely agreed. I was just like, oh, this is like one of the best days I've had like all year kind of thing. And my friends were, they're like, oh, it really was. It's like it was just so magical. I know I've said magical like multiple times, but enchanting. There we go. Uh, and we don't, it just feels like we don't have enough time, enough times where we feel that kind of excitement and wonderment, I guess, kind of what I would, when, things are just so beautiful and you just have so much fun. I know, fun. I say the word fun all the time on this podcast. Lively. It was lively. Just don't have enough times that are like that, you know. One of the big things is, that I just felt so alive, and those kind of moments where you, sometimes you don't realize how much you're sleepwalking through your life, how much you're not enjoying your days, your everyday life, that, it's only in moments that are in contrast to that you really realize how much you're not really living your life. And I would say very, generally, this trip, reopened my eyes to what it feels like when you feel alive. And, coming back to my normal life, my normal job, right now I'm like working 6 days a week and stuff like that. And, it's not like I don't enjoy like any aspect of the life that I live on a day-to-day basis, but it's a lot of days just look the same. And so, and I know that I'm not alone in that, but you know, we only have one life, and it's just like, is the life that I'm living really the life that I want to live, kind of thing. So yeah, I've been kind of depressed since we've been back. The darkness of, November and December in Seattle, doesn't help, because it gets dark at like 4 o'clock, in the afternoon. So that doesn't help, but I think generally the contrast of how I felt on this day, and on the trip in general, and how I feel on a daily basis is pretty stark. And, I want to live a life that I'm excited about. And, that's just not the reality right now. So, yeah, it's been kind of hard in the last month and a half since we've been back. So, anyway, at the end of it, like we bought the photos and stuff like that. Really my only complaint, which, is a mild complaint, is like the photos generally were like really washed out. Like I don't know if that's like it just seems it I'm surprised about it because it's like golden hour, so I wouldn't have thought that they would be washed out. But I thought, that's such a minor thing to complain about, so I'm not really angry, like all angry about it, kind of thing. It's just like, you know, it wasn't the best, but oh well. So, yeah, everything was just wonderful about the whole experience, and definitely would recommend it to anyone. Oh, actually, I would not recommend doing it on Halloween, though. Like, we had fun, and like there were like, other boats that were having kind of a little bit of party. Also, there was like the pirate boat and stuff like that. But the traffic, because we parked by the marina. I just thought it would be like any other night, pretty much, even though it's Halloween. Because, I think of it as being, Day of the Dead being like the big thing. But, Halloween there is like La Noche de Bruja, right? I think that's what it is. The Night of the Witches, witching night kind of thing. But they also like kind of have taken on, like, especially because it's Cabo, they have more tourists there. So they definitely do have taken on like American Halloween somewhat too. Like we're just like a ton of people dressed up down there at the marina area. Getting out of there was a nightmare. Like it was up there with how awful it was when we went to see the eclipse in Oregon. And then we're trying to like leave, basically a drive that normally would take 3 hours took twice that, even more than twice that. I think it took 7 hours for me and my friends to get home from the eclipse in Oregon of total eclipse. Like, this was back in like 2018, maybe, I want to say. I don't know if that's completely true, but I want to say it was like 2018. This was kind of a similar situation where we're just like barely moving. It took us potentially an hour to go like 3 blocks. It was painful, absolutely painful. So, while I recommend, the experience that we had, do not, I repeat, do not do it on Halloween and park down there and expect it to be okay. It will not be okay. It will be terrible. That said, did it erase the amazingness of the rest of the night? No, but that part was so awful that, like, we'll remember that traffic for years. Yeah, it took us way longer to get home than it was supposed to. Yeah, we have a couple of regrets in that way, but the experience itself was fun and great, and I would definitely recommend a sunset cruise on the tip of Los Cabos. It's beautiful, it's magical, and enlightening. uh, anyway, I've rambled enough. I think you get the point. I loved it. It was one of the best days of my year of 2022. So, I hope that you have a good week. Do something fun, and I'll see you next week. Love you. Bye.